Over 25 years ago, when I was in the seminary, I had the privilege of meeting Monsignor Stanislaus Manikowski. Monsignor Manikowski eventually retired in my diocese, but he was born in Germany and came to the United States after World War II. I remember the day distinctly when I was in this seminary where he gave a presentation to all of the seminary about his experience as a prisoner in Dachau concentration camp. After the presentation was over, he had a small gathering of just the seminarians from my diocese, less than 5 of us around the table having coffee with Monsignor Manikowski. And he shared the story with us then of what was it like to be a priest in a concentration camp as a prisoner. And then he shared the story after the liberation, after the war was over, and as he returned to ordinary parish life in Germany. He was at a First Communion, and at the reception after the First Communion, from across, he saw one of the prison guards enter into the reception. This man, this prison guard, had been an agent of evil, had tortured many people, including Monsignor Manikowski. He shares a story of knowing in his heart that God was calling him to forgive the prison guard. And as he looked at us seminarians around the table, sharing the story of how he came to choose to forgive, one of the seminarians asked Monsignor Manikowski, well, how did you do that? Because he didn't deserve it. And Monsignor Manikowski said something to the effect of, well, they only call it mercy when you don't deserve it. Mercy. It's love bestowed when we don't deserve it. The thing about us human beings is that we were made by God to love. The problem is that we all need more love than we deserve. We all need more mercy than we deserve. And they only call it mercy when you don't deserve it. The last time that you and I were together on the journey, we were introducing the second week of Lent, where I shared with you that beautiful story from Jesus as he relates in Luke chapter 10, the story of the Good Samaritan. In this third week of Lent, as we continue the journey, we are going to encounter Jesus now in Luke chapter 15, that beautiful story of the prodigal son. And if there's any story that I think pierces our hearts, it's that one. Let's imagine what was it like that day on the journey when Jesus was telling the story of the prodigal son. Jesus would have been standing, and around him in a tight circle would be the apostles. Around the apostles would have been the scribes and Pharisees. Another circle would have been the disciples, the 72. Then there would have been another circle of just people who were there just listening. And that outer circle, that would have been the outcasts, the people on the fringe. And as Jesus is speaking the story of the prodigal son, those words are piercing the hearts of the people on the fringe. They know that they need more love than they deserve. And Jesus is sharing a story about this lavish love of a father. And so again this week, I want to invite you to pray with me as we behold the image of the prodigal son. Where are you drawn in the painting? Where does your eye go? And what's in your heart as you see it? I'm drawn to the strength of the Father's embrace. The Son had been feeding the swine and he would have been filthy. And yet notice how in the painting, the Father takes this elaborate, lavish robe and drapes it over his Son. Imagine if the arms of Jesus were wrapped around you just like the arms of the Father are draped around the prodigal son. And notice how the Son has to stay still, has to let the Father embrace him. And if we are going to receive God's mercy, we have to be still so that he can love us. One of the things I love about this painting is that the artist is attempting to illustrate in the outer garments the lavish love of the inner heart of the Father. That is trying to remind us that God's love for us is lavish, it's abundant, it's more than we deserve, and it's more than enough. The good news of the gospel is always new and it's always good. And here's the good news that we're going to discover in this third week of Lent. God loves you more than you deserve. But we have to name the places in our heart that need that love. Be not afraid. Be open. And let the Lord love us on this journey. God bless you.